Well, fancy meeting you here. I'm Em from FearNothing-QuestionEverything. You may have seen me on TikTok. And you're here for the first ever episode of my new series called Putting the Truth Back into True Crime. And we're starting off strong with the Idaho 4 case. In this episode, we're going to discuss Jack Duceour, Kaylee Goncalves' ex-boyfriend, the 17-minute phone call that he lied about, and the creepy envelope sent to Kaylee's sorority. If you think this case is crazy, you haven't seen nothing yet, tune in, like and subscribe and all that other lovely stuff. And let's get into it. For anyone who isn't up to date on the case, the Idaho 4 murders is a case where there was 6 university students in an off-campus sorority house, 4 of which were murdered on the 13th of November 2022. 2 surviving roommates remained. They've been releasing court documents related to this case. I've read every document available, and I believe that the person they have in prison for these crimes is innocent, Brian Koberger. I have been on TikTok for a while, as I've said previously. I've used my platform to try and spread awareness as much as possible, but now I want to join YouTube so that I can make longer videos. I can then talk a bit more in depth about the case, and hopefully a lot more people will begin to raise awareness about this, because I believe those 4 beautiful people, Kaylee Goncalves, Maddie Morgan, Zena Coronado and Ethan Chapin, deserve real justice. This is my way of trying to help get them. Jack D was Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. He'd been dating Kaylee for over 5 years, Jack Duceour. Since high school, they'd been dating. They'd been on and off during that period, with Kaylee posting some interesting tweets throughout the years that maybe showed things weren't always as good as they may have seemed. Or was it just natural teenager stuff? Who knows? Jack had what seemed to be a fantastic relationship with Kaylee's family members. He drove their car. They kept in contact after Kaylee passed. But was that relationship all that it seemed? With friends close to Kaylee reporting that the relationship was often on and off, and that it was usually Kaylee who ended the relationship, cracks were shown. Were Kaylee's family just unaware? Kaylee was in the Alpha Phi sorority, and Jack was in the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. Around August of 2022, Kaylee had been moving on. Her life was going great. She'd gotten herself an internship at Extreme Networks, which later went on to progress to a full-time job where she was making between $20 to $27 per hour. She was planning her life. She decided to end her relationship with Jack and pack up and move to Texas. Her new job gave her the opportunity to work from home, so the world was quite literally her oyster. She planned to move after she graduated in December 2022. Kaylee had booked a trip to Europe with her friends and was looking forward to it. 2 days before she was killed, she'd went and bought herself a used Range Rover, but it was beautiful nonetheless. Kaylee was moving on. Jack was not. However, friends of theirs said the breakup remained amicable, and as they co-parented their dog Murphy, and remained otherwise amicable. However, friends of Jack had mentioned that he wasn't taking the breakup as well as Kaylee was, and that Jack had expressed that he thought that he would marry Kaylee one day. He'd reached out to one of the student support teams at the University of Idaho because he was struggling with his mental health, reporting he was feeling depressed. He was taking the breakup pretty hard and had other stressful factors going on. This was something that Jack would later go on to deny to the police and to Kaylee's family after the murders. But that's not all that Jack D denied after Kaylee was murdered with 4 of her roommates that night. He denied that he'd spoken to Kaylee that night. He was on the phone to Kaylee for 17 minutes between the hours of 2:26 and 2:43 a.m. Other contact between Kaylee and Jack that night were at the corner club. They were together at the bar. They weren't together. Went separately but had seen each other. CCTV footage shows that they spoke and everything seemed okay. Once Kaylee got home at 2:15am, she texted Jack to tell Jack to come and get his vape pen. I assume she must have got that when they were at the corner club. Apparently there's no response from Jack. But at 2:50, between the hours of 2:26 and 2:53, Jack reports to Kaylee's family that there was several missed calls from Kaylee and Maddie the night of the 13th. When the police, Idaho State Police, analysed Jack's phone, they learned that Jack was on the phone to Kaylee for 17 minutes that night. From the hours of 2:26am until 2:43am. Between the hours of 2:43am and 2:52, Kaylee attempted to call Jack a few more times. Maddie also made a few attempts to call Jack that night. One was an apparent video call. But Jack reported that was strange because Maddie never called Jack. She certainly didn't video call Jack. But after they were discovered dead at approximately 12pm that afternoon, Jack reports to Kaylee and Kaylee's family and police, that he didn't speak to Kaylee. He missed all the phone calls. Again, there was a 17-minute phone call that went unaccounted for. And then Jack didn't answer again. When Jack was confronted with this information, he said that he must have thought that it was his alarm and silenced it and went back to sleep. Whilst that may sound believable, Jack, I highly doubt that Kaylee would want to stay on a phone and listen to you sleep for 17 minutes. So what really happened? What do you think Jack D would have felt the need to lie about a 17-minute phone call for? What reason? You can let me know in the comments. Jack D also lives in King Road. You can easily reach his apartment by crossing through the houses to the west of King Road if exiting through the sliding glass door. Interestingly enough, when processing the crime scene, Moscow PD found footprints leading towards Jack D's house. When law enforcement searched Jack D's apartment, they found blood marks in multiple places. A blood sample that later becomes unknown male C to detectives and the public. It remains unknown male C today. Because Bill Thompson allowed for it, that was the lead prosecutor in this case, he allowed for the DNA samples to be consumed during testing and also stopped the DNA samples within a week of them arresting a suspect. I will do a different episode on the DNA or the evidence that they had on the suspect. But right now, let's talk about Jack. So, on the 5th of December, Kaylee's sorority received an envelope. The envelope was addressed to the sorority house. The return information in the envelope was, and this is redacted, I'm unsure, and had a drawing after it, whatever that was. The envelope contained several playing cards with John F. Kennedy's likeness, stamps, a cut-out bracelet, several handmade drawings on paper, a Sports Illustrated picture of Kate Upton in a bikini affixed to a card, and a note. The note read, "I feel the hurt you must be going through. I've lost too many too. Love and peace will come, but till then, just know." The note was signed. Now, we don't know any further information on this note. It hasn't been brought up again in any of the forensic reports, etc. Now, what I do find strange is that in the 1960s there was a set of JFK playing cards released. And these cards were they weren't real pictures of JFK, they were likeness cards, and there was a comedy set of cards. In this deck of cards there was an extra card. It reads, The royalty of playing cards has variously represented Adam, Julius Caesar, Charlemagne, Helen of Troy, Pallas Athena, and others. Our own natural leaders and heroes have been occasionally commemorated on face cards. The Kennedy cards have been conceived within this tradition and confirm what voters have already said in recent elections. We have a new Jack of Hearts. The White House is now a full house. Long live the King, the Queen, and the Jack. Now, where this gets cryptic coded is that in this case, there was also another gentleman and his name was Jack. Well, his name was John, but he was called Jack, just like JFK. The murders happened in a white house. Jack, the other Jack, lived in Queen Road, and the murders occurred on King Road. And the last sentence of this pack of cards reads, "The White House is now a full house." Obviously it's not. Long live the King, the Queen, and the Jack. Now I'm not sure who would want to send that to Kaylee's sorority, but in the next episode we'll go into the other Jack and explain more about him. If it's not up tomorrow, it'll be up the following day. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to let me know your thoughts. Take care.